Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Players Experience podcast. On today's episode, we are welcoming in Maple Leafs defenseman Morgan Rielly to talk about his career with the Leafs, how he got drafted, his 10-year span, and some of his favorite moments along the way, as well as some tournaments and some fun questions along to ask. I wondered who was the better skater between him and his partner, Tessa Virtue. So tune in to find out his answer for that. Before we bring Morgan onto the show, we just wanted to give a special shout out to our production team for all the work that they do to make each episode as great as it is. As well, guys, make sure to use the discount code The Players Experiences on products listed below so you can get yourself something nice. As well, if you haven't done it yet, it's still early. It's a new year. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Make sure you're following the podcast so that you're able to see new episodes as they come out throughout the year. Now, without further ado, let's bring Morgan on and start talking about how he got into hockey and his passion for the Leafs. Hey Morgan, how's it going today?
Doing well, thanks. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know it's a hectic time with the hockey season and Christmas had just passed, but yeah, appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy we got a chance to chat at Motion Ball and make it happen.
Yeah, are you excited for the Gala happening in a couple months?
Yeah, I think March 3rd, right, is what the date of that is. It's always cool. It's always a cool event. I think we're on the road because that's the first thing I did. I checked what our schedule was like. I think we're on the West Coast, so I might not be there, but it's always a great event.
Good. Well, hey, hopefully, you'll get a dub during the night and we'll celebrate that while at the Gala. So
yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to do it.
Cool. All right. So I have a couple rapid fire questions that I'm going to fire at you first. Just first thing that comes to mind, just spit them out. So what's the strangest thing in your fridge currently you have right now?
The strangest thing in my fridge, I don't know. It'd be olives or pickles, just like as a snack. I think it's always nice having like a jar of those in there.
All right. Sounds good. What's your favorite winter pastime or wintertime pastime activity when you're not playing hockey?
Winter pastimes, I love the winter. I love when it's snowing and you're just out for a walk, especially at night. I mean, being here in Toronto, there's always a cool view of the CN Tower in the snow or something like that. So I just like being outside, maybe dog walks or something in the snow at night. Is always a little cooler in the winter.
That's cool. And yeah, it's definitely with all the Christmas lights up. And yeah. So that's good. Who's the best DJ in the locker room?
The best DJ in our locker room, I think, is Michael Bunting. He's been doing it a lot, and he's always on the ones and twos, and I like what he's got going for us.
Good. Well, hey, it's been working. The team's looking good, so hopefully that momentum continues. So
yeah.
Now let's talk about you. This is your 10th season as a Maple Leaf, correct?
Yeah. This is my 10th year.
Which is incredible. So first off, congratulations, because it's always nice when you're on one team for such a long period. You get to obviously see the changes and see the team work and build. But how did you know you wanted to play hockey? And throughout your time in Toronto, what has been your favorite component of being in a market like Toronto and what it brings with all its adversity and obviously media and things like that? Yeah.
I mean, I think I've always wanted to play hockey. I mean, even from a young age. But your goals and aspirations change over time. I mean, when you're younger, you just want to make the best team you can, like the Adam AAA team. And then once you make that team, you start thinking about making the Pee Wee team. And you just go from there. I don't think I ever had aspirations to play in the NHL or be a professional hockey player at all. At that point, I just wanted to play because I enjoyed it. And then, getting drafted to the Moose Jaw Warriors and playing junior there. Even at that point, you're just trying to make the team. And then you gradually realize that, you have a chance to make a living doing it. And then it definitely becomes a little bit more serious. You take things and, it becomes a little more real. So I mean, I've known I wanted to play hockey for a long, long time, but I mean, when it becomes reality, you're playing junior, you're chasing your dream, and I was extremely fortunate to be drafted to Toronto, and I've enjoyed my time here. I've been very open about that, and I think playing in a market like this is really special, and it's a cool opportunity to play in a great hockey market, to be a part of a team that has a lot of history, and to be a part of a team that's involved within the community and has a great fan base. So, I mean, for me, it's all positive, and there's always going to be ups and downs, but as players, you can only just go out there and work your hardest, play your hardest, be true to who you are when you're talking to the media, and I mean the rest takes care of itself. So for me, being here has been great. I've enjoyed every minute of it. And, I mean, hopefully we can keep winning some games and we can put together some good seasons while I'm here. And at this point, that's all we really care about. We just want to win games and enjoy it. And then in terms of the media component of it, or the pressure from fans or anything like that, we don't think about that. We just got to go out there and play.
No, hey, you know what? That's honestly the best way to do it. Like, I work with university hockey, and sometimes we go to other barns, and it's crazy. They'll have like their entire student body show up, and it's like, at the end of the day, you're just playing hockey. You got noise and
totally. I think that carries over, into the NHL. You just got to go out there and be confident and put the work in, and then that way when games come around, you're feeling good. You can just go out there and play. And I mean, that's always been the case for us.
Good. Now, talking about like being around the league for a bit and really putting your mark on the game, in 2018, you and former Maple Leaf Jake Gardiner became the first two defensemen to record at least 50 points in a season since Thomas Caberlet and Brian McCabe did it back in the 06-07 season. What did it mean for you to like have your name kind of etched in the record books, if you will, that early, like throughout your season so far? And
I think it's cool. I think it's not anything that you spend time really, planning or trying to achieve. It just kind of happens. You play a good game, and then I mean, people tell you that you've hit a milestone or you've tied something or whatever. But I do remember that year, and I've been very fortunate to play for some really good teams here in Toronto. So I think you have it. I mean, here you always have a chance to really make an impact on your team, your teammates in the game. And, I think for us, we're just out there trying to win. And, when the team's playing well, it oftentimes means that individuals are having good success and doing well. And that's what you need in order to have a good team. And if you look at our team right now, we have guys that are playing extremely well and, I mean, really contributing to our group and where we are in the standings. So, it takes a lot of individuals to make up a team, but at the end of the day, all that really matters is wins and losses. And I mean, like I said, hopefully we can, keep having good teams during my time here and win some more games.
Now, if a really good fan of the show wants to know who would be your favorite defensive partner, either currently or in the past, and if you could pick any partner to play with from any team, who would it be?
A defensive partner that I would like to have. It's a good question. I think if I could pick anybody, it would be Nick Lidstrom. He was a player that I watched growing up, and how he played was obviously very enjoyable to watch. He was incredibly sound defensively, and I mean, I think he won like 8 Norris trophies or something like that. But as a kid, I was a Vancouver Canucks fan, so guys like Matthias Ohlund and Ed Jovanovski are players that I liked. But, for me, the guy that is close enough in age that I watched a little bit is Nick Lidstrom. And, he was one of the best, if not the best, to do it. So I always liked watching the way that he played.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's whenever I played ball hockey for 8 years, because if you ever seen the movie Goon, I'm like Sean William Scott, and then I cannot skate worth crap for the first time. Me on the ice, it takes like 5 minutes to loop around, so I've never had to think about that. But it's good to know, like when you compare players, it's like you want to compare yourself to the greats, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, it's all good. I mean, I've played ball hockey a couple times, and it's a sport that you have to do a lot to get good at because it's different, and I'm no good at ball hockey. So maybe we would be good partners, and you could carry me on the ball hockey court, and then I could take care of the skating.
Perfect. So sounds like once the summer comes around, we'll get something sorted.
No problem.
Now, outside of your time in the NHL, you've competed in the U17 Hockey Challenge, winning a bronze, as well as the World Championships, winning gold. What were those tournaments like for you overall, and which teams were the hardest to play against during those tournaments?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, when I went to play for the men's world championship team, I brought my dad over to Europe to watch, and in that tournament, the hardest teams to play against. I mean, we played the American team twice, I think, once in the round robin, then we played them in the quarterfinals maybe. And Austin Matthews was playing for that team, but we hadn't drafted him yet. It was just, I think, a month or two prior to the draft, but he was pretty clearly going to be the number one pick. So I just remember playing against him when he was, a young player, and just being amazed at his ability. Then once we got him and you start getting on the ice with him more and more, you definitely really notice what he has to offer even from that age. But that year we played Finland in the final, and won 2-0, I think. But they were the best team. I think they were, really good defensively, and they made you earn kind of everything you got, and that was an enjoyable experience. The championship game was in Moscow, which was interesting because I had never been there before. It's a very different place, and my dad was over there, so it was a cool experience.
That's really neat. And having family there, maybe you can just speak about it briefly, but like, what does it mean to have like your parents there that have seen you grow up in hockey, play at such a high level of sport, even now with the NHL, and just seeing your child succeed?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, even then when he came over to Europe, I think you just get a chance to bond even more. I mean, I'm close with my mom and dad. I feel very fortunate for that. And when we were over there, you're going for dinner in a foreign country. You don't speak the language, and you're able to laugh and just bond just the same way you do when you're 8, 9, 10 years old going to a hockey tournament, in Vancouver. So it's cool. And then when he comes out to Toronto, I just feel grateful that he's able to come, because I think in sports and hockey especially, you need a lot of support when you're younger, and growing up, taking you to practices, coaching you. I had an older brother. He coached both of us. So when I was younger, I had tons of support from my parents, trying to help me accomplish what my goals were. And at this point, to have him here at games and to, know that he enjoys watching the Leafs. He was born in Hamilton, so he's a Leafs fan. And so to give him the opportunity to watch Leafs games and, to almost be a part of the team in a way is a cool feeling. And, it's ultimately just a feeling that you want to express gratitude to him for how much he helped me, how much my mom helped me growing up. Because like I said, at that young age, when you're playing sports, you need a lot of support, you need a lot of help. And, my parents were always there for me. And when they come out here to watch games or just go for dinner, I just hope that I'm able to express some gratitude to them, because I wouldn't be here playing for the Leafs without them.
That's incredible. And yeah, our parents are the biggest supporters. So like, shout out to my parents, because I wouldn't be here. We're doing this kind of thing if it wasn't for them too.
Yeah.
Now, awesome. Talking about strong connections in your family and strong partners, as most know, your partner is Tessa Virtue, who is a wonderful human being. I got to meet her a few times at the Motion Ball galas and everything, and she's got a few championships and titles under her belt as well. But the biggest question between the two of you that I'm curious about, has the conversation ever come up between the two of you of who's a better skater? And if so, who's won that conversation?
Yeah, that conversation has happened a couple of times. It typically ends with her winning, just because, what you mentioned. I think she's got some hardware to prove it. But we did actually have a chance twice now to be on the ice, the two of us. During COVID, we got ice, just the two of us, and we were able to go for a skate. And I think the first thing that we noticed was, there's a huge difference in what we do and how we do it. And I would say that I think Tessa's a lot more graceful than I am, and most hockey players would be. So it was cool to do that together. And that's not something we talk about a lot anymore, because that discussion's already been settled.
Nice. Well, hey, it's always good to know. You got to have these fun, friendly conversations.
Yeah. You got to know your place.
Hey, like they say, happy wife, happy life, you know?
Yeah.
Now, talking about like going around with yourself and like when you've toured around in Europe, but then also in the NHL, when you guys have gone to all the different rinks that you've been to, out of all of the cities that you've been to and played in, which arena has been your favorite to play in, and what's been so unique about it that's like stood out for you?
My favorite to play in, I mean, that's a good question. I think that, I mean, there's lots. I think when you go to Montreal to play the Habs, there's always a good crowd. When you go to Boston to play the Bruins, Vancouver's my hometown, so I like going to play the Canucks. But I think my favorite might be MSG in New York. When you go to New York to play the Rangers, it's a pretty historic building, right in Manhattan. So I think it's just a cool atmosphere. It's a cool opportunity that, again, as a kid, you never think about. But when you're in the building and you're playing the Rangers, and it's a cool feeling, and I think that would be a place that I often think about.
That's awesome. That's definitely one of the rinks I have to go and check out. I
Yeah,
get
yeah,
to
it's
like
very
go to a lot of NHL rinks, but I'm making my way through the checklist.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. I got drafted in Pittsburgh, and that's where I scored my first goal. So I've had some good luck there. So maybe that one too, just in the mix.
That's awesome. Now, I heard you're a big fan of music. Obviously, being a hockey player, you need to get ready for the games and then just hanging out and listening to music at home. But if you could have dinner with any popular musician, who would be at that table? Say you have like three people at your table. Who would those musicians be that you would want to have dinner with, and why?
All time, or current, like current rock stars, pop stars type thing.
I'll let you pick. It could be either or.
Okay, it's a good question. I mean, I do like music. I mean, like you said, we play a lot of music before the games and stuff. Right now, I like my guy Boston Levi. This is a complete fluke, but I'm wearing his shirt. So I mean, I like listening to him a lot. I like the Lumineers. I kind of like that kind of rock and roll type of vibe. But I mean, all time it would be Rolling Stones. I think for me, again, I'm not a history buff, but I like the kind of old school stuff, old school rock and roll, like the Police and stuff. So I would have to say Rolling Stones is my favorite band.
Awesome. Well, no, hey, those are some solid choices for sure. I know
Yeah.
for me, like it'd be so hard to really pick, but like I've always been a Matchbox 20 fan. I know they're
Yeah,
coming this year, so like I'm going to their concert.
love that.
And then there's just been like a mix, like I would actually say Lumineers or
Yeah,
Arkells, like that kind of genre of
yeah,
bands are like my top ones as well. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's cool. I mean, we play a lot of music around here, and like we play a little bit of everything. So I think it's a cool way to kind of set the mood, whether you're at home cooking dinner or something, or whether you're at the rink getting ready for a game. There's always something that music can offer.
Now, I did read an article once that you're a bit of a Katy Perry fan. How many Katy Perry songs are bopping in the locker room before the game?
Not there. We used to play a lot of Katy Perry, but right now it's a lot of mixes and stuff, and like DJs and whatnot, which I'm not as up to date with. But I definitely like Katy Perry. I like Taylor Swift a lot. So I mean, I like everything. It's kind of a boring answer, but yeah, I'm easy.
No, hey, that's not a boring answer. It's good to have a wide variety. My Spotify
Yeah,
playlist is wild. It goes from like just like indie to rock to like everything. It's wild. So
yeah, yeah. No, I think that's the way to do it.
now, my last question for you is: you did mention about your parents supporting you and really being like the guiding light and the mentors for you, because everyone has someone that has someone growing up with that they provide help and support for. Who would that be if it's outside of your parents? And what would your advice be for the next generation of the future hockey players?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good question. I think when I look back at my childhood, and I mean, as you grow up, who's around you the most, and who impacts you? My parents, obviously, then my brother would be next. We had a small, kind of tight knit family, a little bit um, introverted, just in the sense we always had dinner, the four of us. We were always close. We got to talk, and we got to just be that close family. So I mean, in my life, those people come first. And then, I've had some coaches along the way that have impacted me as well. And I feel very fortunate for that. Mike Stuthers was my junior coach. He's now working for the Anaheim Ducks, and he was a guy who I was able to, really learn a lot from, and kind of grow up around. And I mean, there's always others, but I mean, for me, I always look to my family first. My brother Connor being a part of that, and my mom and dad. And then I think that kind of tees you up to have success. And I think my advice for young hockey players or young athletes now, I mean, I think just keep a positive attitude. Don't look too far ahead. Enjoy what you're doing. If you like what you're doing, you're always going to do it harder. You're always going to do it for longer and better. And just don't give up. And like I said, just believe in yourself. And just keep that positivity going.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Morgan, for taking the time to be on the show. I really appreciate it. And again, all the best with the remainder of the season. And I look forward to seeing what you do on the ice for future games.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on.